one so small, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I will be here, don't you cry.
Our two older boys started walking when they were 13 months old, and Marshall did seem to be doing everything a little sooner, and by 10 months old he was already up and running, and he was just an on-the-go little boy.
But at 13 months, something was wrong. Marshall suddenly stopped walking, regressing to a crawl. Alarmed, Pam took Marshall to their family pediatrician, who immediately sent them to a neurologist.
I brought pictures of Marshall walking because I was afraid they wouldn't believe that he was able to do that just a couple of days earlier. The neurosurgeon told us he was going to schedule an MRI and that he wished he could tell us everything was going to be okay, but he couldn't. The morning of his MRI, I remember going in and Marshall was in his crib and he couldn't even lift his head off the pillow.
The MRI confirmed the neurologist's suspicions. Marshall had an aggressive brain tumor and his prognosis was not good.
I knew that there was a chance that Marshall wouldn't survive.
My biggest fear was that I was going to lose him, and I couldn't even fathom him not being there. You know, I remember trying to picture what our family would be like if he was missing, and I couldn't do it.
I remember specifically walking through the halls, and I called my mom. And so when she asked for the results, and it was not good, that's all I could say was, it's not good. And then there was silence again. The silence, because I could not get anything else out. It just was so hard to talk to her and to come up with the words to describe what we had just experienced with the neurologist.
Desperate, the Cottas turned to City of Hope.
We asked that the MRI results be sent up to Dr. Jensen at City of Hope so he could take a look at them. And that evening I went to a meeting at the elementary school thinking everything was okay, and Jeff called me at the meeting and said, "You've got to come home right now. We have to go up to City of Hope tonight."
Dr. Adam Mamalak, neurosurgeon at City of Hope, reviewed Marshall's MRI.
A huge blood clot had built up, and there was very significant pressure on the brain. I knew that if he didn't have surgery right away, he would probably die.
They admitted Marshall immediately and told us that there would be surgery a few hours later.
The surgery was successful, but the difficult task of how to reduce the size of the tumor remained. World-renowned for its innovations in bone marrow transplantation and other cancer treatment and research, City of Hope provided Marshall and his family new hope. Pediatric oncologist Dr. Michael Jensen designed a new protocol tailor-made to treat Marshall's disease.
Marshall had already received the standard forms of surgery and chemotherapy, yet his tumor was not shrinking adequately. I knew that this was a time where we had to step out of the proverbial box and come up with a treatment plan specifically tailored to save his life. What we decided to do was to use very strong chemotherapy that you'd normally use on a 40-year-old adult. And we had to deliver it to Marshall in a way that he would be protected, that he could recover. So we coupled this very strong chemotherapy with the use of his very own stem cells in order that he could heal quicker after each chemotherapy round.
Dr. Jensen, like, he understood. He was the first person who said quality of life was important, and that there were ways to treat Marshall so that he could possibly survive the cancer, and if he did, also be a normal little boy.
This was a brand new therapy specifically designed to save Marshall's life, but no one knew how he'd respond. After 3 rounds of the regimen, finally, a ray of hope. The tumor began shrinking in size. Soon, radiation could eradicate the remaining mass without damaging the surrounding tissue. And today, Marshall is just one of the boys.
Every single time we go back to City of Hope for an MRI, and Dr. Jensen walks through that door with a smile on his face. And I think even now, almost 5 years later, it is still the same excitement as it was that first time.
We pop a cork every time we get an MRI, and I save that cork because that's my memory of That's another successful MRI that just reaffirms not only what City of Hope is able to do and the technology that they're able to utilize to save people's lives, but that now we've got Marshall for another period of time.
Just look over your shoulder. Just look over your shoulder.